Good morning. It is 9:08 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Back again Friday. We're really excited here on the Chris Hand Show. Mason is producing. Jay Harper in the newsroom. Got a banger of a show for you today. I did 2 shows yesterday, and so I said during the Amigos I prepped for 2 shows, and 3887 just made me laugh my butt off. He goes, no, listened all day. Chris shouldn't kid himself. He did the same show twice.
Boom.
I was saying to these guys, I was like, well, no, because there was actually big breaking news in between.
Yeah, but
golly, even when people are giving me a hard time, we have the best listeners in the world, and you guys make me laugh and smile constantly.
Yeah, keep us humble.
Constantly.
Keep us humble.
I love you guys. So this is one of the reasons why I'm so looking forward to our next debate party. Hanging out with you guys is some of the most fun that we have. And we're having our next vice presidential debate party October 1st, J.D. Vance versus Tim Walz. And we're doing it at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro, live in the borough. And we want you there.
Dude, it's going to be so cool. I actually get to go to one.
Dude, it's going to be awesome.
I'm so excited.
So you get to meet Mason, and then me, Dan Murphy, and Brian will be there too.
Yeah, I'll be a little. Whoa, and Brian will be there too.
Me, Dan, and Brian and Murphy are also going to be there.
Murphy will be there,
but Mason is coming.
I'm gonna be there.
It's going to be hype.
It's going to be so cool. Can I have my own velvet robe?
Oh, well, we can give you a safe space.
I don't like crowds. That's the thing.
And then Murphy keeps talking. Did you hear? Is Fox Nation actually coming now?
Are they really? I don't know.
I don't know if it's like officially confirmed. They were like asking Murphy for an invite.
Yeah, I know it was like touched on yesterday. I didn't listen to a show because I'm not a fan, but I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Ruthless. Savage.
But no, yeah, I didn't hear if anything was confirmed or not, but I sure hope so. That would be awesome.
I know they want to come, and I worry if they're going to still come if they find out what a lot of us think about Fox News, which of course is
because we're Fox News and we suck.
I hope they're not listening. I would hate for them to realize that that's how a lot of us feel.
Yeah, well, they do seem to be Murphy fans, so I don't think they're. I would love for them to listen to the show.
Does anybody watch Fox Nation? I'm asking, serious question on the members nutrition text line. Tell me if you watch Fox Nation. I feel like they built that streaming platform for Tucker Carlson.
Oh, 100%.
And then when Tucker Carlson was booted from the network, I feel like that's where the Fox Nation hype ended.
Yeah, I was like, I've not felt. I never see it in my newsfeed ever anymore. Or on my social media platform. I used to see Tucker pop up every once in a while. I was like, cool. That guy's still kicking, loving him. I haven't seen anything from him. Haven't seen anything from him recently.
What does Fox Nation do?
Hold a title.
Yeah, 5371 says it's the D class reporting on Fox Nation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, they absolutely shot themselves in the foot by getting rid of Tucker.
Just a little bit.
You think about all the revenue that they've lost since then.
Oh, my gosh, and how much he's making on his own. My gosh.
And the numbers that this guy's doing.
Pulling hard.
It's crazy. But that was a lousy decision by Fox News.
I think lousy is an understatement on that point.
That's me really, really being nice. Chris V on the Members Nutrition text line said, I watched Fox Nation and stopped after they booted Tucker. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the common response for most people.
Yep.
Unless you're just diehard Fox fans.
Joan on the text line says Greg Gutfeld is the only good thing on Fox.
That's fair.
Jesse Waters can be okay. I feel like he's gotten a lot better. He's kind of coming into his own.
Yeah, as long as he finally finds his own.
You took a long pause there.
I had to. Once he gets his own 2 legs under him, then I think it'll be better. But it's just taking a while. It's just taking a second.
Yeah. Gutfeld is great.
Yeah.
Gutfeld is great. All right, so yesterday between shows, the news that broke was from Matt Gaetz. And you probably heard this while I was filling in for Brian Wilson yesterday. Hold on. Matt Murphy just texted me. Murphy's ears were burning.
Uh-oh.
He said, I do think Fox Nation is coming, but they're on the fence. The last 5 minutes should really push them over the edge.
Yeah. Guys, come on. Come. It's friendly banter. It's friendly banter.
Listen, we say worse things about CNN.
Yeah.
Just to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair, it's just a... See, at least on Fox News, it's one person.
Yeah, we don't
this
have...
is an audience.
Yeah, we have actual people saying that about CNN. We have an AI joke saying that about Fox.
Yeah.
All right, so yesterday between shows, Matt Gaetz was on Breitbart News Daily on Sirius XM, and he broke some news that is a bit shocking, a bit jarring, and very, very worrying. He said a senior Homeland Security official came to his office, essentially shut the door and said, Matt, we got to talk. And what they needed to talk about was this Homeland Security official telling Matt Gaetz that there are at least 5 assassination teams in the country, 3 foreign in nature and 2 domestic. And the goal of these assassination teams, it's not, they're not going after Joe. They're not going after Kamala. They're not going after Nancy Pelosi. They're targeting Donald Trump.
What were you saying about these 5 assassination teams?
We are aware of at least 5 teams in country that are geared toward killing Trump. And I think, 3 of them that we know are foreign in nature. 2 of them we know are domestic in nature. And that calls for a forced protection that we do not have around the former president right now.
Okay, who are you talking to? That
I just want to say this host on Breitbart, you can hear it in his voice. He just kind of gets a little bit panicked and a little bit like, whoa, what am I listening to?
A senior Department of Homeland Security official met with me, said they were aware of this and were concerned that the Secret Service was not providing sufficient support.
Was this like a hearing, or was this like in your office?
In my office.
This conversation. Okay. Now listen, Congressman, I'm just a guy here. I don't know things. Why are these people? What do we do? Why are we just having assassination teams walking around?
Well,
you can hear the panic in his voice, can't you? He just kind of starts tripping over himself and stuttering. And I'm not knocking him. I probably would have done the exact same thing if we had a congressman on breaking news like that you just aren't ready for. It's jarring news. Why are assassination teams walking around the country?
Well, one reason is because when they entered the country, there was insufficient scrutiny to stop them from doing so. Right? I mean, the 3 of these teams are foreign inspired, from my understanding. Iranians, Ukraine.
Ukraine. Oh, Ukraine. Wasn't there an assassin that had ties to Ukraine? Oh, yep, that's right. The guy on the golf course was recruiting foreign fighters to go to Ukraine. There's a lot of questions about that assassin. And Jesse Waters covered this last night. And like I said, Jesse's been coming into his own, and this was a great segment on Fox last night.
So how the citizen of the year with a nice house and a good family turned into an assassin living in a barn with more felonies than money in his bank account. Ruth couldn't even afford child support. Primetime looked into it, and he was always behind on payments to his ex, always. She even agreed to terminate the support due to his financial situation.
So I guess the question would be, how is a guy with no money for child support able to live in Hawaii, afford flights to Taiwan, Turkey, Poland, Ukraine? I think that's a reasonable question, is it not?
Ruth sold his house in North Carolina for $174,000 and then was also living in an $800,000 bungalow in Hawaii. How does a man with no money for child support suddenly start living in a pricey house in Hawaii and afford flights to Taiwan, Turkey, Poland, Ukraine? His neighbors say sometimes they wouldn't see him for 3 years. The house in Hawaii Ryan was living with is connected to his fiancée, Kathleen Schaefer. Kathleen worked at Victoria's Secret. She's engaged to this guy who all of a sudden flies to Ukraine for months, and she's fine with that. As we reported last night, Ruth spent 8 months sleeping in Ukrainian military barracks,
And one of those assassination teams moving around the country, they say, could have ties to Ukraine.
rubbing elbows with cold-blooded killers. Why would you leave your fiancée, who just lost her job at Victoria's Secret, to fly to Ukraine to recruit Muslim militants to fight Russia? And if you have $68 in your bank account, How are you spending thousands on airfare? How are you even feeding yourself in Ukraine? And everywhere he goes, he gets press, from the local papers to the New York Times to Newsweek. And every time he's arrested, he gets a pass. He's been charged with 100 different counts, and he's never served a day in jail. How's that possible?
Jesse's having a bit too much to think, and it gets dangerous when you have this much to think.
And after spending months with Ukrainian mobsters and scaring the bejesus out of everybody connected with him, he was flagged to the FBI, the State Department, and Homeland Security. But they all dropped the investigation. And he shows up to the president's golf course in a car with stolen plates and a loaded rifle with a scratched off serial number. And no one's curious if Ryan Ruth was sent here on a mission to kill.
I'm curious about it. And he said, you know, how does the FBI know about him? How does DHS know about him? And everybody just kind of doesn't follow up. It's weird how that always seems to happen.
Say the line, Bart. He was on our radar.
Yep. He's always on the radar. They're always on the radar. Isn't that strange how that happens? Weird.
And no one's located his fiance. It's not that hard to find somebody in Hawaii. And the Biden-Harris administration stonewalling. They won't even let Florida investigators into the crime scene.
We were rebuffed. Our investigators were rebuffed just going to the fence line outside of Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. And so I think they've taken the position, they don't want the state of Florida to be involved in this.
What are they hiding? How do we not know there's more Ryan Ruths or Thomas Crooks out there? How do we not know?
Well, there very well could be more Ryan Ruths and Thomas Crooks out there, because as Matt Gaetz broke yesterday, 5 assassination teams roaming about the country, 3 foreign in nature, 2 domestic, and they knew about those 5 teams before the second assassination attempt. They knew. They knew that they were roaming around, yet drones weren't deployed, perimeters weren't checked, just a happy little accident, right? I don't know. But it's certainly becoming more and more suspicious. Suspect. And they don't want to let Florida in to do any of the investigating? Just a coincidence. I wouldn't worry about it. Trust the alphabet soup agencies that are doing the investigating, right? Trust them. That's what they want you to do. 615-737-9986. We're going to talk more about these assassination teams, plus Kamala Harris and Oprah Winfrey, the cringe fest that was live on the internet with a whopping 11,000 viewers at any given time. We'll play some of the lowlights, highlights, however you want to describe it from that on the way as well. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Israel claiming that it has carried out another targeted strike on Beirut. We'll have the latest and a troubling new report on social media privacy from the FTC. We'll have both of those stories at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. It is 9:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. A lot of people weighing in on the super text line. We got a new listener, first timer, 6912. I'm a new listener. Is this the text line as well as the call-in line? Yeah. Do we not say that enough? 615-737-9986. That's the text line. That's the phone line. So you can do both. You can text or you can call. Be a part of the show. We love getting new listeners. Welcome. Hopefully you enjoy the programming here. You can listen to us anywhere you go with the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app. You can watch us live on SuperTalk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You can listen to the podcast on Apple and Spotify and the 99.7 WTN app. A lot of ways to do it. Appreciate you doing it however you do it. So last night, Kamala had a special event with Oprah Winfrey. A special event. It was very, very special. They had about 11,000 viewers at any given time watching it live. Now, the flip side was Vivek Ramaswamy, okay? And Vivek, he isn't running for anything. He just decided to go down to Springfield, Ohio after stopping at Penn State earlier in the day to do a Prove Me Wrong session. And he just wanted to talk to the citizens of Springfield, Ohio. And they wanted to be heard. And people want to know what's going on down there without the media bias of nothing's happening, stop asking questions, bigot, which is what we get from the press. And Vivek was down there, and a resident asked him if he thinks the current administration is the reason for the trouble in Springfield, Ohio.
Good to meet you, man. Yes, sir. So my question is, I'll make it short and sweet. I've been here for 35 years here in Springfield, Ohio. As you guys, I'm a full-blown Trump supporter. I'm a full believer that he's the man that's going to save us. Do you currently think right now that the current administration is the reason we're having all this trouble currently here in Springfield, Ohio?
I do, actually. I really do. And
I think that's provable.
And that's actually probably the number one most important policy takeaway here. You know, I think if you're going to run for public office at the local level or at the state level, you got to be ready to take the heat, all right? If you can't handle the heat, stay out of the kitchen. And I do think that criticism at every level is fair. But if you want to understand where I think the real problem is, I don't think Houdini himself as a magician could have fixed a problem in Springfield if you have federal policies that are permitting millions of illegals and stretch the law to make them legals entering this country and dumping them into cities like this one. It'd be like the equivalent of sending 2 million additional people to New York City. Can you imagine that? That's the effect of sending 20,000 people to Springfield. That's a direct result of those federal policies. And again, you don't always have a chance to change it. But this time, in about 50 days, you actually do. And it's
He's right. In 50 days, you do have a chance to change it. 100%. And then at one point during this town hall with Vivek Ramaswamy, they asked him if he would be willing to be governor of Ohio. And the crowd there, after the question was asked, didn't give him a chance to answer, but they stood and gave him a standing ovation. And listen to his response.
Are you going to run for governor of Ohio? And
I'm a little more inclined than I was about 10 seconds ago.
I mean, is that not the best answer? Well, I'm thinking about it now. After that standing ovation here in Springfield, Ohio, I'm thinking about it, and gosh, wouldn't that be an upgrade for the people of Ohio? You got a soy boy like Mike DeWine, or you got Vivek Ramaswamy. That would be an instant upgrade. Now, that was happening at the same time as the Kamala Harris, Oprah Winfrey love fest, whatever you want to call that, cringe fest. I'll bring you the highlights or lowlights from that after the news with Jay Harper, which starts right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. We are coming up on 9:31. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Sunny and 81 degrees on this Friday. The weekend forecast coming up. Israel's Defense Forces says it has carried out what it's calling a targeted strike on Beirut today. The attacks come after Israel's most intense airstrikes in Lebanon since the conflict started back on October 7th. ABC's Marcus Moore is in Beirut.
We have been receiving information about a strike here in Beirut in the Hezbollah stronghold. Local media showing video of really a chaotic scene there. Heavy smoke coming from heavily damaged buildings, and there are also cars that are apparently on fire, according to the video that we've seen. Initial reports indicate that the IDF did carry out a strike here in Beirut.
A new report from the Federal Trade Commission accuses popular social media platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube of vast surveillance of their users, including kids and teens. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has more.
The report from the Federal Trade Commission claims that social media and video platforms collect troves of personal information, not just within their own apps, but from your activity across the internet, like if you're married, your income bracket, or in some cases, your health conditions. And that data can then be used for targeted advertising. There is now momentum to enact bipartisan legislation that would protect kids and their privacy online. The last time that happened, TikTok and Instagram hadn't even been invented yet.
Meta, or the owners of Facebook, they declined to comment on the report. TikTok, they didn't respond to a comment either. Imagine that. That is the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. It's 9:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand here for my friends at United Structural Systems. Now, when it comes to these large home repairs, you know it if you own a home, because we all do it, right? We pretend we don't see the warning signs because we just don't want to hear what we think we're going to hear. And it's especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. Like, this could be something big that absolutely needs to be fixed. Or it could just be like a small problem that will become bigger if we ignore it. Or it could be nothing. And I mean, that's what we all hope for, right? But the bottom line is we don't know, and we certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. You just want peace of mind. Well, the guys at United Structural System, they can give you that. They have over 25,000 100% satisfied customers, and they've made that happen because they're going to educate you on the problem, help you understand what's going on with your home, and then they're going to fix it. And when they leave behind a lifetime warranty that stays with the home even if you move away. I mean, this is the company that cares. This is the company that you can trust. They guarantee their best. USS has been keeping homes dry and stable in Middle Tennessee since 1994. Give them a call if you need some foundation repair or waterproofing, or if you're tired of looking at that sinkhole on your property. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. USSTN.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. And we believe in fighting for that. That's how we came into being. Because the people before us understood that one of the greatest expressions for the love of our country, one of the greatest expressions of patriotism, is to fight for the ideals of who we are.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
It's 9:40 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. That was Kamala Harris last night at her town hall with Oprah Winfrey. That's how I felt the entire time listening to it.
Makes me think of my favorite hockey, and if you'll let me.
Yeah, go for it.
I was like, maybe you're just pretending to be dumb. Now I don't think it's an act.
No, we don't. We don't think it's an act anymore. And they didn't ask her any real questions, right? It's like, ooh, tell us about joy. Tell us about your plans. It's like, well, I'll give you a roundabout answer and not give you any of my plans.
Well, Webster's dictionary defines joy as joy.
Yeah, exactly. But they didn't ask her about those 5 assassination teams that Matt Gaetz was talking about. Of course not. They didn't ask her about either of the assassination attempts or the chemical attack that the Trump team is investigating from the Tucson rally. No questions about that. No questions, please.
Why would they? They don't want Trump's name in the public.
Yeah, unless they're smearing him or calling him
Exactly.
a racist. Yeah, it's classic. Eric in Morristown wants to talk about that assassination attempt too, and I love it when Eric calls in. What's up, Eric?
Hey, good morning, man. Thanks for my call. First off, I am not double fisting sausages. So I just want to put that out there. Hey, real quick, dude. So you got this knucklehead, right? He's embedded somewhere 12 plus hours on site. No one sees him. Okay, this is what it's called, in my opinion. People can look this up. This is what's called an unofficial cover if he is an agent. If he's not an agent, he is an asset, an operating asset for an alphabet soup. Okay, people can look this stuff up. Look into Lee Harvey Oswald's travel itinerary and what he was making. Look into James Earl Ray and what he was making and where he went before he was captured. Okay, so this is an alphabet agency operation, if you ask me, and I do not believe for one second that somewhere within let's just say the deep state, for lack of a better descriptor, someone within the deep state didn't know that this was going on. And now all of a sudden, we just can't find his fiance. That's called a cover story. That was a bearded fiance, meaning that was a mask he was wearing. Okay, you don't do, like you said, Hawaii is some of the most expensive real estate on the planet, next to like the French Riviera, parts of Morocco, heck, even parts of Florida and South America. That's some of the most expensive real estate on the market. So if Homeboy has an $800,000 plus home, who's paying the taxes on that home?
Yep. And I appreciate your opinion on this because you do have a military background and you call in a lot. But what is your military background again?
I am a medically retired Special Amphibious Reconnaissance Corpsman, served with 2nd Recon Battalion and 2nd Force Recon Company from approximately end of 96 through the end of 2000 when I was injured following a night free-fall parachuting accident. So I've done nothing. I mean, there's dudes I know that, far better men than I have given their last full measure of devotion. I just did my job to the best of my ability, and now I'm sitting here talking to you, not double fisting sausages. So,
well, but I say that to say that this opinion of yours doesn't come without a wealth of experience.
I'd like to think I have experience. Don't ask my mom; it'll ruin my reputation. But no, in all seriousness, this cat is, I don't want to say dirty, but he's dirty. What do you mean that the state of Florida is being turned away on the investigation? Governor DeSantis is a former naval JAG officer. He's a former naval officer from Gitmo, so he knows the ins and outs of covert and clandestine operations. He has to, because he was a prosecutor on all those knuckleheads that were in Gitmo.
Yep.
He knows what's going on. He knows, quote unquote, how to bury bodies, if you will, or where to go looking for stuff. So I think that's part of the reason, in my opinion, why he's being rebuffed in the state of Florida. FDLE is wired tight, man. Florida Department of Law Enforcement is wired tight. Florida Department of Bureau of Investigation, they're locked on. There's tons of former military and veterans and retired operators, if you will, doing that sort of looking into working for those cats and stuff. So you got all this going on, and what are they saying now? Iran's got a hit team out. Yep. I'm calling Bravo Sierra on that, and here's why.
I feel the same way. The Iran stuff feels so forced.
Okay. Follow this. Everybody can look this up. Look up anything from the 10th of August of this year, because I remember hearing something about it, so I confirmed it myself. 10th of August of this year, the Trump campaign reported to officials that it was hacked, right? Hey, we think we're hacked. They also reported, they didn't report that until after Politico, according to Politico, was receiving anonymous emails with information regarding the who's going to be the vice president and other data points.
Yep.
Okay? It is listed that the Trump campaign says it was Iran. So and that, right there to me, that's bells and whistles. Who in the campaign is neocon? Who is working for both sides? Who has the potential to straddle the fence and get really hurt? That's what I'm thinking. Because why would the campaign? Hey, you know what? I think it's Iran. Who knows that? They know the IP address. They know the MAC the MAC addresses that are going on here. They know where this data sets or these intrusions are coming from. I'm calling Bravo Sierra. I'm calling it a deep state operation, and they're going to blame Iran. Hey, you guys are already in the doghouse. You know what? Just play it cool, Mohammed. You got that money, so you just play dirty for a little bit, and if anything happens, you guys take the heat, but nothing's going to happen to you. We're not going to pursue this. But then you got neocons, the hawks, war hawks like Lindsey Graham, who's never saw a front line. He didn't want to send other people's sons and daughters to die on. It's Iran.
Yeah, well, and he's been salivating at the thought of bombing Iran since October 8th.
100%, even before then. Okay, and he's one of the instrumental players of us getting involved with the late Senator John McCain into Ukraine, of all places. 10 years ago, we're shipping them Humvees.
Yep.
What are we shipping Ukraine Humvees for if they're not going to be part of NATO, which is the vehicle platform of generic vehicle platform for all of NATO and Europe? So anyway, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on this, but I think the Roust, is that his last name? I don't know what this knucklehead's alphabet soup name is. We'll just call him an Inspector Gadget, so to speak. But he's not a lone. They call he's a lone wolf. Yeah, he's a lone operator, but he's getting funneled all this sort of stuff. You don't go do that you don't travel abroad without State Department knowing what you're doing.
Yep.
You're an American citizen. You leave CONUS, State Department knows. Whether you're active duty military, maybe not, a non-official cover asset. Somebody in the food chain knows where you're going because you got to have a passport. You're not just going to Poland and all these other NATO countries to get inserted into Ukraine some form or fashion.
Well, and we know he was flagged in 2023 and in 2019.
Okay, so you got that going on. Bells and whistles should be going on. Hey, what's going on there, homeboy? Why don't you come sit down and give us we just want to have a little cup of coffee and talk things over here. What do you got going on here, dude? If it was me, he'd be in flex cuffs face down, and there'd be some, serious kneeling going on, if you will, on what what they call it, a uncomfortable positioning in a little box somewhere.
Yeah.
You'll find out information on somebody, but I'm kind of rambling here. But the point being is this: this stinks to high heaven, and the stuff that Fox News is now publicly broadcasting with Jesse Waters, that stuff was out on the net, days and days ago.
Yep.
So obviously it's filtering up the food chain, and I hope more people ask questions on this sort of stuff, because this isn't just about President Trump. This isn't just about the United States Constitution, all that flag waving stuff. This is about human rights. This is about the right to self-determination, and people are wanting the representative of that human self-determination, particularly of the American people, dead. They want to kill it. They are after all of us. So anyway, I can ramble on, dude. I appreciate the time, man. You have a good day, and, stay low, dude.
Hey, man, I appreciate you calling in, as always, Eric. Eric's theory makes a lot more sense to me than some of the mainstream media's narrative. You know, and listen, we're all speculating right now, but we're forced to speculate because we aren't getting any real information from the powers that be. And then you just hear more shocking things, like they knew 5 assassin teams were in the country before the second assassination attempt, and they're not going to search the perimeter. They're not going to deploy drones. It's a little bit suspect. Larry in Clarksville, your thoughts on the 5 assassination teams?
Well, thanks, Chris. First of all, salute to Eric from an old Air Force sergeant. He's absolutely correct. If these 5 assassination teams were Catholic soccer moms that had gone to a school board meeting, we would know they're 4th cousins by now.
Honestly. Yep.
And this, hold on. I'm trying to calm down a little bit. I mean, Eric was absolutely right in everything he said. There is no way that we cannot find out who these people are. And if we can't, then maybe we need to talk to Israel and say, hey, Mossad, can you help us out a little bit? Because we're just dumber than, a dog's fart.
Yep. I hear you, Larry, and I appreciate the call, man. I was going to get into this Kamala Harris, Oprah stuff, and we're going to do this. Kamala is easily the fakest, phoniest person in politics we've ever seen. And that was on full display last night. Full display. And Oprah is just fake and phony too. But real quick, the one thing that stood out to me is Oprah said she was stopped in the airport by a Trump supporter. I don't know if you caught this during that segment last night, but this one made me chuckle.
On the way here, when I was coming through the airport, black man stopped me, and he said I guess he knew I was coming here for something like this, and he goes, "Well, I'm just tell you, I'm voting for Trump."
Oprah can't even walk through the airport without Trump supporters letting her know she's way off. And I love the way she describes it. On my way here, as I was walking through the airport, I was accosted by MAGA. The MAGA people found me. Is MAGA in the room with you right now, Oprah? And they told me they're voting for Trump. It was scary. It was terrifying. That's what we got last night from Kamala Harris. We don't get actual press conferences with real reporters asking real questions. We get fluff pieces. Fluff pieces. That's what we got last night. A lot of them. A lot of fluffy questions. I'll play you the highlights on the way. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I got to tell you about my friends at Paul Winkler Inc. Paul's a great guy, man. You can learn a lot from him, and you should listen to his show tomorrow, the Investor Coaching Show. It runs from 3 to 6 every Saturday. I learned a lot from Paul before I got my show here by listening to that show. So when I started working here, I knew I wanted to work with Paul. And I just knew that he could break things down for me in a way that I could understand because I've been listening to his show and learning from him already. So when I finally got to sit down with Paul and break bread and have my questions answered, it's like, yes, this is exactly the kind of conversation I thought I was going to get. You can get that exact same kind of advice from Paul, too. That honest, cut through the BS kind of advice. That's what Paul will give you, and you can trust him when he tells you this. One of the things Paul says is he wants the honesty and transparency to be upfront with you, and he wants me to tell you that I get paid to do these commercials because he wants to start that relationship off on the right foot. I don't get paid to be a client. I'm a client because I trust Paul. I trust his team. I like that his team does nothing on commission. I like that his team focuses on education. You will like that too. They're going to look at your whole financial picture and then help you make some decisions on how to set you up for the future. Set up a 15-minute phone call today on his website, paulwinkler.com. You just hit the website, paulwinkler.com, to get started now.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk?
Okay. TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, tuberculosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like, going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete this cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
Israel with another targeted strike on Beirut. And a woman accused of robbing a Nashville cash advance store back in June by claiming she had a bomb. Well, they caught her. She's now in custody. We'll have those stories at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. It's 9:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. On the way, I'm going to bring you some of the audio from the Oprah Kamala Cringe Fest. But I'm getting text messages at 615-737-9986 that says on the 99.7 WTN app or on one of the apps, maybe it was iHeartRadio or TuneIn, that they're running Harris for President ads. I've gotten like 3 or 4 texts.
Like some people said on our app specifically, and then I've just saw 2 that said iHeart was pumping them.
So I have 2 thoughts on that. My first thought is, and you guys thought the Cars for Kids was a tough listen.
Yeah.
Right?
Holy cow.
That's my first thought. My second thought is, hey, take it, because you are not impressionable. So every dollar that they're spending advertising to our audience is a dollar that they can't spend advertising to somebody that they could sway.
100%.
And it's
100%.
like, listen, when I see the Kamala Harris ads pop up on YouTube, I don't click skip. I want that money to burn.
Sorry.
Run it again.
I love 6766 said they go great with the Pfizer ads.
Oh, they sure do, don't they? It's 10:01 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 1 minute past 10 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got sunshine. We're up to 84 degrees. A weekend forecast in just a couple of minutes. Israel's Defense Forces says it has carried out what it's calling a targeted strike on Beirut today. The attacks come after Israel's most intense airstrikes in Lebanon since the conflict started on October 7th. Here's ABC's Marcus Moore. He is in Beirut.
We have heard for many months that Israel is fighting this war on multiple fronts and that their focus has, up until now has been on Gaza. And now it would appear that they have turned a lot of their attention to the north, and in particular their fight with Hezbollah. And we have seen Israeli airstrikes on Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. We would anticipate that will continue. The defense minister said they've entered a new phase, and the prime minister has vowed to safely return residents to northern Israel.
Back here in Nashville, a 28-year-old woman has been arrested for attempting to rob a cash advance store in June by suggesting she would blow herself up if the employee did not comply with her demands. According to the arrest affidavit, Isha Murray walked into Speedy Cash. That's on the corner of Harding Place and Antioch Pike. This happened back on June 5th. She approached an employee at the counter and gave him a note that said, "I have a bomb strapped to my chest. Give me all the money in the drawer." Well, when the employee said, Murray lifted her shirt to show wires, which prompted the employee to call 911. Murray then fled from the scene. Metro Nashville police detectives used fingerprints from the scene to identify Murray as the suspect. She was arrested this past Wednesday, and she's been charged with attempted aggravated robbery with a weapon. She's in custody on a $50,000 bond. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can listen to the show wherever you go on iHeartRadio, the TuneIn app. You get some nice ads on those. You can also watch the show on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. You want to know the level of gaslighting that we're at currently in the country? You know, if that Oprah Winfrey, Kamala Harris special wasn't enough, I'll tell you the level of gaslighting we're at. Yesterday, Nancy Pelosi claimed that the Democrats did have an open primary and that Kamala Harris won it. Yep. I know. I thought the exact same thing. This is Nancy saying that there was an open primary and Kamala won it because she's politically astute. I'm not making this up. She said she's politically astute.
You had reportedly said you wanted a sort of an open primary if Joe Biden stepped down. Did you change your mind because you saw all the excitement around Kamala Harris?
No, I didn't change my mind. We had an open primary and she won it. Nobody else got in the race because she was politically astute. And but that was the thought. Let's show our talent. We have a great bench.
What? We had an open primary? We had an open primary, she said, and she won it because nobody got in the race. And then you got the clap crowd there going, yeah, we sure did. We sure did. That's the new talking points. And just nobody else got in the race because they knew how politically astute she was. Then even more gaslighting. She says, we have a bench. We have a roster of talented people. You do.
Politically astute. And but that was the thought. Let's show our talent. We have a great bench, all these great people in the country. And the president endorsed her, and that's a big deal because Joe Biden is the most consequential president of modern times.
Jeez. How much? All right, so Kamala Harris did win the open primary because she's so politically astute that nobody else wanted to get in the race. That's line number one. Line number two, we have a great bench and we have a great roster. And then number three, Joe Biden is the most consequential president of our lifetime. All of that in 40 seconds. And mind you, that's 40 seconds with the initial question. So you got three doozies in about 20 seconds from Nancy Pelosi. The vodka skeleton was probably hitting the sauce a bit early.
Accomplished so much more. I mean, even Barack Obama in his 8 years in service would admit that in the short period of time that Joe Biden had the majority, which was 2 years of his 4-year term. But it's not just about legislating, which we share that success, that legacy of what we did. It's
what legacy of success that they did? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we've just seen prices go up exponentially. We've seen chaos with interest rates, record high credit card debt, record high debt for the country. Our interest payments are outpacing our defense spending. It's like, are you kidding? Are you kidding me, Nancy? She's not kidding though. Like she actually believes this stuff. She actually believes this stuff. And that's just one attempt at gaslighting yesterday. The big attempt was Kamala and Oprah.
So we have the cat ladies for Kamala here.
Yeah, cat ladies for
Rural
Kamala showed up.
Americans for Harris. Caregivers for Kamala.
Rural Americans for Harris. Caregivers for Kamala. Those are the groups showing up on the digital screens. I can't believe they actually have cat ladies for Kamala, but it was the last one that really got me.
For Kamala. Train lovers for Harris Waltz. I didn't know there were train lovers. Train lovers.
Train lovers for Harris Waltz. I'm not going to make those jokes. I will not make those jokes. The jokes wrote themselves last night, though, with Kamala Harris. I mean, listen, she was asked how she would lower prices, and her answer was she's going to lower prices by lowering prices. Dan actually had the best explanation of Kamala Harris when she answers questions. I don't know if you listen to Dan this morning, but Dan nailed it. He's like, listen, she always does this the same way. She's got a formula. She says, "Thank you for your question." Then she repeats the question, and then she lies. That's what you get from Kamala Harris. And when you hear her talk and when you hear her answer these questions about how she's going to lower prices, it's like, does anybody believe the BS that she's spewing? Anyone? Listen to this woman.
We really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And
well, you hear it around the country because you've ruined the American economy in these last 3.5 years.
In terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family, and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that. And there are a number of ways. One is bringing down the cost of everyday necessities, including groceries.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Honestly, I feel like I could play that clip after just about every question that she's answered. Every single one.
Can't just be a bunch of castrated robots reading questions from the boss.
It is. Unfortunately. Castrated robots. So, Kamala, how are you going to lower prices? Well, listen, great question. And I get this a lot because I've trashed the entire economy. And I'm going to lower prices by starting with lowering prices. Whoa! Nailed it. Home run from Kamala. So, best case scenario, she was hammered drunk. Worst case scenario, she's sober. What? What was going on that live stream? What was happening? We don't know. We're just not sure. She's a bit of a mess. And it's just example after example. She had Julia Roberts on there. At one point, they had to bring the star power. I don't know is Julia Roberts a star anymore? I don't know. But Julia Roberts praises Kamala for this scripted event because she gave celebrities the opportunities to be seen and heard. This actually happened.
First of all, Oprah, thank you for hosting this, because I guess if I started a voting club, it would be conversationalists for Kamala.
Yes.
Because to talk, to listen, to be heard, to have this back and forth is so unique. in this campaign.
I think Pharrell Williams put it best when he said, "Hey, celebrities, nobody cares. Nobody cares, and you should shut the hell up." I think that's what I would do. That's what I would say. Kamala wants you talking to your friends and neighbors about misinformation, too.
It's very important that we all speak to our friends and our neighbors about misinformation and help them now see how it occurs, where it is occurring.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk to our neighbors about misinformation. Like at the debate when you pushed the dictator hoax, the bloodbath hoax, the Charlottesville very fine people hoax. I think that would be actually really important to talk about the misinformation that you're pushing on the American people. That's what I think. Also, at one point during this interview, this scripted conversation, Kamala Harris said that, if somebody broke into her house, she would shoot them, which is weird.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes.
What? Is this the same person that said that she would break into your house to make sure that you were storing your gun properly? Yes.
Responsible behaviors among everybody in the community, and just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible and safe in the way you conduct your affairs.
Yeah, same woman. Same woman. She gets so hood. This is the same woman who was very much against stand your ground laws. At one point, she actually made the case that stand your ground laws are racist.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, and I have personally prosecuted a number of cases and kinds of cases. These stand your ground laws and these states that have these citizen arrest laws have often and frequently been used as an excuse, if not a cover, for people who are motivated by racism. And
remember that. Just remember that. Put that feather in your cap. Stand your ground laws are a cover for people with racism. Also, Kamala Harris is pro stand your ground.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
Also, Oprah, what's with the voice? I know that. Okay.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
She's so hood. She's so hood. Somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot. Well, I mean, I understand the sentiment. I feel the same way, but I just don't think that she actually believes that.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that. But my staff will deal with that later.
You think they piped in laughter? It sounds like a TV laugh track and Kamala's cackling. Do people actually really love this woman? I just can't fathom the fact that people think that she's actually authentic when you can just play the clips of her saying the exact opposite so many different times, so many different ways. She was saying, just because you're a gun owner doesn't mean I can't come in your home and make sure you're storing your gun responsibly. She's on TV saying, stand your ground laws are racist. This is the same woman that called for mandatory gun confiscation. She called it a great idea that she would do by executive action within her first 100 days.
Adding to your gun control agenda?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. But I mean, listen, I don't think we lack for great ideas. As I've said many times, we've been having great ideas for decades. The problem is that Congress has not had the courage to act. And that is why, from the beginning, I have said, my agenda includes attempting to get Congress to act, but if they don't within the first 100 days of my administration, I'm going to take executive action. Because what we need is action.
Yeah, oh yeah. Mandatory gun confiscation is a great idea, and she would be willing to do it with executive action within the first 100 days if Congress doesn't act. They have such great ideas on the left. It's just about execution, And when questions about the border come up, it was Oprah that jumped in to help Kamala get through the question. Oprah understood that what Kamala is doing isn't working, and she tried to save her.
My work and my career has always been about saying, let's fix problems. Let's address the needs, because we know it's within our capacity to do that.
So to answer Justin's question, now that that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely. And when I am elected president of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk.
Even Oprah understood that Kamala wasn't answering the questions. Even Oprah knew what was going on there. Like, hey, this isn't playing well. Oprah, to all of her detriment, we can say all the things that we need to say about her. She does understand TV, right? And she does understand how things are going to play. And you see her diving in there to save Kamala Harris because she knows in the back of her head, at the very least, this isn't going very well. And they struggled to maintain 10,000 live viewers last night while this was happening. Again, at the exact same time, Vivek Ramaswamy is holding a live stream, and he's got viewers anywhere from 40,000 to at times 170,000 people watching live. A guy that's not running for any office and is just talking to the residents of Springfield, Ohio, the citizens, actually meeting people where they're at. I don't think Kamala Harris was meeting anybody where they're at. And the super texters, that you guys are the best. This is something that I missed, and I'm embarrassed that I miss it. But Oprah said that she was stopped by a MAGA voter in the airport.
On the way here, when I was coming through the airport, black man stopped me, and he said I guess he knew I was coming here for something like this, and he goes, "Well, I'm just tell you, I'm voting for Trump."
All the super texters pointed out Oprah flying commercial. Yeah. Probably not the case.
Not happening.
Not the case. It's 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
New fighting in the drug cartel wars in Mexico, leaving dozens dead. And retailers, they're being forced to lock up merchandise, and you can probably guess why. We'll have those stories for you at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. It's 10:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. We've been playing some audio from this Kamala Harris, Oprah Winfrey special. And at one point, Kamala says that she noticed a change after they booted Biden off the ballot.
It seems to us that something happened to you the moment Joe Biden, President Biden, stepped aside and withdrew his candidacy, that a veil or something dropped and you just stepped into your power?
It's just so inauthentic and fake and cringeworthy. Also, when did Oprah get that accent? Were you a candidacy? What?
Joe Biden, President Biden, stepped aside and withdrew his candidacy. That a veil or something dropped and you just stepped into your power?
What's with the inauthentic just accent?
Literally, looking at you at a speech like the week before, which was a great speech, very nice. And then the next week, I saw you walking in the thing.
And Oprah does a lap around the stage walking.
And what happened to you?
You know, we each have those moments in our lives where it's time to step up.
Time to step up.
Time to step up.
Yeah, well, the American people would have liked you to step up 3.5 years ago. That would have been nice. And you did step up. You stepped up signing the Inflation Reduction Act, being the tie-breaking vote there, the Inflation Explosion Act, if you will. You stepped up. And in turn, Americans had to step in it. And we've seen grocery prices fly up. We've seen rent prices fly up. We've seen interest rates fly up. We've seen global instability, wars popping off. We're closer to World War III than we've ever been. And she stepped into her moment, as Oprah says to Kamala Harris.
You know? Well, the moment you heard, I mean, I really have been saying to people, it felt like a veil dropped and you sort of stepped through that veil. Did you feel like that?
I felt a sense of responsibility, to be honest with you.
I wish she would take responsibility for the last 3.5 years that we've all witnessed, but that's not what she's talking about.
And with that comes a sense of purpose.
A sense of purpose. She's the most inauthentic, fake politician that we have ever seen. Ever. Everything that she campaigned on in 2019 and 2020 is out the window. Now she's essentially a border security, gun-owning patriot. It's just, she's a clown. She's an absolute puppet for the regime. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. She's a puppet. She's a puppet.
We are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. And we believe in fighting for that.
Her body language and her mannerisms and the way she's moving as she's going through this ramble, incoherent rant is so bad and so awkward and so weird that the guys running the camera decide to switch to a wide-angle crowd shot so that way you can't pick up how strange this woman is acting while she's saying this.
That's how we came into being, because the people before us understood that one of the greatest expressions for the love of our country, one of the greatest expressions of patriotism, is to fight for the ideals of who we are.
Yeah. You know, she got backstage and she did a bunch of high fives with her college interns and said, nailed it. I don't think she nailed it one bit. Vivek Ramaswamy, on the other hand, he was busy last night in Springfield, Ohio. I'll bring you his highlights next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 10:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Boy, we've got a lot of sunshine, 85 degrees, a complete forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Well, dozens are dead, and a major Mexican city has been paralyzed by warring factions of the Sinaloa drug cartel. One side accusing a son of former cartel leader El Chapo Guzman of kidnapping another cartel leader named Ismael Zambada and handing them over to the U.S. ABC News correspondent Matt Rivers, he is in Mexico City.
The state of Sinaloa is, of course, the heartland of the Sinaloa cartel. And what we've seen within the last 2 weeks or so is just an explosion of infighting within this cartel, faction versus faction. And officially, the number is around 40 at this point. But anytime you're talking about deaths and organized crime, there are always deaths that are not reported officially. So the number is likely far higher than that.
On the retail front, mounting financial losses and increasingly brazen criminals are forcing many brick and mortar managers to just lock up the inventory to keep them from being stolen. ABC's Jim Ryan says retailers, they're having to walk a fine line between security and satisfied customers.
For generations, consumers like Roy Barroso have been able to walk into a store, find their items, pay, and leave.
Now I gotta press the button and wait about 10 minutes for them to come and help me.
But is locking up merchandise permanent?
I think if they find a balance, this will subside.
If not, says retail analyst Jen Fagan,
The customers will start to vote with their wallet
and do more of their shopping online.
That is the latest news. We've got weather on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. It's Chris Hand from my friends at the Glock store. We talk about these guys a lot because they're just awesome. I love the Glock store. I love the people that work there. It's the best place to buy a Glock. Every Glock is in stock. It's where I train. Every session is a private lesson. I got another lesson on Monday. If you've never trained with these guys, you're missing out because they have private rooms, not public lanes. This is where you need to learn how to use your firearm. This is where you need to shop for your firearm. And now it's where you need to party. No matter what kind of party you're throwing, if it's a birthday party or a retirement celebration, or even if like you got a team of your workers, you own a small business, you own a company, you want to do some corporate team building, do it at the Glock store. Glock store is a perfect place for all of this kind of stuff. They'll give you a VIP room with a full kitchen, dedicated shooting rooms, instructors, shooting activities designed for every level, and they'll include all the ammo, even full auto options. This is where you need to throw your party. To get started, call my friends at the Glock store, 615-682-6565, 615-682-6565. The Glock store, my place to shoot and party, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. 1036 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Vivek Ramaswamy yesterday decided to go to Springfield, Ohio. And he was in Springfield, Ohio to listen to the residents of Springfield, Ohio. And one of the things I like that Vivek did is he said, I'm not blaming anyone in Springfield for what's going on, including the Haitians. And I think that that's a good point to make. Like, we're not blaming the Haitian migrants that the federal government dropped off in Springfield, Ohio for doing what they normally do, right? Like for bringing their customs and their culture with them. We're blaming the federal government for not thinking that would cause issues. This is Vivek last night.
Here's my view, is that I don't actually blame any of the 70,000 people in Springfield for the mess in Springfield. That includes the 50,000 people like my family members or others of you who have lived here for a long time or for generations. After meeting with a bunch of them today, I don't even blame the 12 to 20,000, most of them certainly, I don't blame most of them, the Haitian migrants who were brought here by unconscionable means. I blame the federal policies that are responsible for what's going on in this city.
Absolutely. Listen, they didn't choose Springfield, Ohio. Just like they didn't choose Charleroi, Pennsylvania. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is not, they didn't have any say. They got dropped off under the cover of darkness. And J.D. Vance was talking about the Haitians in Springfield when he was in North Carolina. And J.D. Vance actually brings it to such a good spot. Great framing, the way he talks about this. He says, yeah, I'm still going to call them illegal aliens. Oh, I like it. And this is why.
Hi, Senator. Mia McCarthy with Politico. Question for you about the Haitian migrants in Springfield. So I know you've talked a lot about how we need to deport illegal aliens, but I wanted to ask you, the majority of the Haitians in Springfield came under TPS, so they are here legally. And I know you've expressed a lot of your issues with the TPS program and wanting to change that.
TPS is temporary protected status.
Under a Trump-Vance administration. But I guess my question for you is, if you become the vice president under a Trump administration, what will you guys do about the migrants that are already there, since they did arrive legally? And a follow-up to that, if you plan to deport them, how would you do that legally?
Well, look, this is a media and Kamala Harris fact check that I want to clarify and clear up right now. And here's now, the media loves to say that the Haitian migrants, hundreds of thousands of them, by the way, 20,000 in Springfield, but hundreds of thousands of them all across our country, they are here legally. And what they mean is that Kamala Harris used two separate programs, mass parole and temporary protective status. She used two programs to wave a wand and to say, we're not going to deport those people here. Well, if Kamala Harris waves the wand illegally and says these people are now here legally, I'm still going to call them an illegal alien. An illegal action from Kamala Harris does not make an alien legal. That is not how this works.
I love it. I love it. Excellent way to handle that question from J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance has just been an absolute pro on the campaign trail. An absolute pro. And listen, these Haitian migrants, through no fault of their own, yes, they were granted temporary protective status, but they were, before that, inadmissible. They didn't meet the requirements needed to immigrate to the United States. They're here via a magic wand. And the Biden administration, the Harris administration, flying them in. I love the way JD frames that. It's top notch. Top notch. And I love the way Vivek in Ohio said, I'm not going to blame them. I don't think you should blame them. But he was asked at the town hall last night in Springfield, Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy was, about the logistics of Trump's mass deportation. And his response, he describes migration in terms of consent. Listen to this.
For President Trump in 2016, 2020, and I will again on November 5th. President Trump vowed to do, quote, large deportations from Springfield, Ohio. But like you said earlier, most, if not nearly all of the immigrants here are here legally. So the notion of deporting all of them and then everything will be okay is not based in reality. So my question to you is this. What realistic plans can you, President Trump, and Congress produce for Springfield and cities like Springfield to be able to adapt and thrive for all of us, both citizens and immigrants?
I appreciate your thoughtful question. I don't agree with 100% of it, but I appreciate you identifying who you're voting for, but still are able to ask tough questions. I like that. So I'll say something here. First of all, is the most important part of your question is we can fall into a trap, and I don't want to see us fall into this, is there are real problems that we need to address in this country that actually have nothing to do with immigration as well. And I think that we can sweep a lot of that under the rug. Those are failures of our elected and increasingly unelected leaders of the country that we got to address by way of economic growth in this country, wage stagnation in this country. You think about even workforce training and preparedness for the changing economy, our reliance on China for our modern way of life. These are big issues even outside of the specific immigration and mass migration issues. So part of your point is we can't sweep all that under the rug and just blame it on immigrants. I agree with you, actually. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. How are we going to achieve mass deportations? Well, first of all, you got anybody who's committed a crime in this country, anybody who is actually currently detained. That's an easy set of deportations right out the gate. You're talking about millions of people that fit those two categories together.
He's absolutely right. That's a great place to start.
That alone would be the largest mass deportation in American history.
Yep.
The next thing you got to do is it's like you got a clogged drain, right? What do? First thing you do is you turn off the faucet. You don't try to clean the drain while you leave the faucet on. Use our military to secure the border. Use the National Guard if necessary. Aquatic barriers in the Rio Grande. And yes, complete the construction of the wall, which is not a racist or xenophobic action. And so the way I think about it is, let's just talk about some principles we can agree on. All right, maybe if I was writing this down, we'll be a little more precise, but I'll give it to you kind of off the top here. Think about it like your body, right? Violation of your consent. A nation's body is its land. No migration without consent, number one. Number two, consent should only be granted to migrants who benefit the United States of America.
Yep.
And number three is those who enter without consent shall be removed.
I think that sums it up. That's pretty easy to understand the way Vivek puts it right there. And this is why he went to Springfield, Ohio, to have this dialogue with the residents. Could you imagine being a resident of Springfield, Ohio right now and wanting just a reasonable, timely solution to your problem? And that solution currently, as it stands, would be, I don't know, starting a petition. And then you got to get signatures, right? That's a big if. Then you got to go through due process with your completed petition while probably being hampered every single step of the way by the power structures in Springfield, Ohio, and in Ohio in general. And then you got to remove that current city council, which was an even bigger if. Then you got to elect replacements. Then at the very last, you'd have to pass a resolution to remove the Haitians, which would then get you sued out the yin-yang by people like the SPLC or other pro bono equivalent lawyers on their behalf, right? And then you'd have to wait another couple of years to go through the appeals process to have it probably go all the way up to the Supreme Court and pray for a favorable decision. And then even if you get a favorable decision, now only then after how many years that would take, would you finally be able to deal with the Haitians who already sapped up resources would be years back. Imagine being a resident in Springfield, Ohio, and that's like your course of action. You can understand why the residents of Springfield have their arms up in the air and have no idea what to do with this situation. Because like the reasonable way to go about it would take years. You can understand why these people feel unheard and upset and angered in Springfield, Ohio. And then the mainstream media just yells, "You're racist because you're not accepting Haitian migrants. You're racist." they tell you that the stories of the crime ramping up, the car accidents are just fake news. The pets being eaten, the ducks being eaten, the geese being eaten. You're a bigot for even believing it. These people are going unheard. Vivek Ramaswamy was down there to hear their concerns yesterday, and I'm thankful that he was. And at one point during this town hall, a Springfield, Ohio woman describes how her daughter was assaulted by Haitian migrants.
So I have a young daughter. I have two daughters, actually. Sure. And one of my daughter is younger. So I want to talk about the crime a little bit.
Sure.
Personal crime. So she's been followed around Walmart. She's been stalked. She ran to her car, threw her stuff down, ran to her car. She was chased. Okay? They were immigrants. She was chased by a man with a machete on her way to work. Called the police. She told them what had happened and wanted to file a report. 2 hours later, the police still had not called her back and never checked on the crime. So that's how you know there's no crime in Springfield, because no one's reporting it.
That was your daughter.
So
It's insane. These are the stories you're not going to hear on CNN. These are the stories of the residents of Springfield, Ohio that are going unheard. And CNN will go on TV and say it's Trump's rhetoric that's causing bomb threats. MSNBC will say it's Trump and Vance that are causing these issues, while the residents of Springfield, Ohio go completely unheard. Completely unheard. It's no shock that the people of Springfield were excited to have Vivek Ramaswamy there. No shock. It's no shock when he gets a standing ovation yesterday when they ask if he's thought about becoming governor of Ohio. They want somebody that's going to listen to them. And Vivek Ramaswamy is one of those guys that went down there and listened to them.
Are you going to run for governor of Ohio? And
I mean, the room explodes. Everybody's standing and cheering for this guy. Are you going to run for governor?
I'm a little more inclined than I was about 10 seconds ago.
And I mean, great answer, too. It's funny. When J.D. Vance became the pick for VP, my immediate head went to Vivek could be a great guy to slot into that senator role. But when you see Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and how much soy he consumes, I think he would be even better for governor. And I think that would be something great for Vivek to get his feet wet in politics and really start that course to being a leader in this country, because he hasn't done it before. You know, when he was running for president during the RNC primary, that was his biggest knock. It's like, you haven't done any of this before. You just haven't. You have no political experience. He talks a good game. He's very pro-America. I love that he meets people where they're at, but he doesn't have that experience. Man, governor of Ohio or senator of Ohio would be a great spot for him to get his feet wet. And I've heard a lot of people say, well, he should be Trump's press secretary. I kind of feel like that's a little bit beneath him, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he could do a lot more. And I think senator in Ohio or governor of Ohio would be a great place for him to start. He would absolutely be an upgrade over Mike DeWine. 100%. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee? I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk? Talk. Okay.
TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the Longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like, gonna run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
405-0. Unanimous vote in the House. I'll tell you about it at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, if everybody's agreeing on it, I might not like it. I'm just giving you a spoiler alert. I don't know what it is.
That always raises your antenna there, dude.
If everybody agrees, I'm essentially thinking run the other way.
It's like, what's the catch?
Yeah. One of the things I tell my daughter, Kennedy, it's like, listen, if Democrats and Republicans agree, run. Run as fast as you can. Now, this is with no other information other than 405-0. I'm looking forward to that newscast with Ken Weaver, just like you are. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. We were playing the highlights from Vivek Ramaswamy. He's going into Springfield, Ohio, holding a town hall, speaking to residents where they're at and having that dialogue. It's so important to do that because these people in Springfield feel unheard. On the flip side, Kamala Harris is having a cushy, scripted interview with Oprah and struggling to get through it. The word salad buffet was on full display yesterday.
We love our country. I love our country. I know we all do. That's why everybody's here right now. We love our country.
If you love it, Kamala, why are you letting in millions upon millions of illegal aliens?
We take pride in the privilege of being American. And this is a moment where we can and must come together as Americans, understanding we have so much more in common than what separates us.
From the party that calls MAGA supporters despicable.
Let's come together with the character that we are so proud of about who we are, which is we are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations.
She's practiced that line and rehearsed it dozens of times. We have aspirations and dreams. Yeah, we sure did. A lot of them have gone out the window since you and Joe Biden took over. And I don't think they're coming back with Kamala Harris being Madam President. Just me. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in our nation's capital, after 2 assassination attempts on former President Trump, the House isn't wasting any time with a bill to require the Secret Service to apply equal standards of protection to major presidential candidates and sitting presidents.
On this vote, the yeas are 405, the nays are 0. 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Now it goes to the Senate. Dozens are dead, and a major Mexican city has been paralyzed by warring factions of the Sinaloa drug cartel. An explosion of cartel infighting has closed schools, businesses, even forced officials to cancel Mexican Independence Day celebrations. Matt Rivers reports from Mexico City.
The Sinaloa cartel was run by 2 factions, one led by the sons of El Chapo, the one on the other side led by El Mayo and his son. Now they're fighting over these lucrative drug routes, as well as the fact that there's a sense of betrayal. One of the sons allegedly kidnapped El Mayo, brought him to the United States, and turned him over to U.S. authorities. That put them at odds immediately.
Israel's defense forces say it has carried out what it calls a targeted strike on Beirut today. The attacks come after Israel's most intense airstrikes in Lebanon since the conflict started on October 7th. Marcus Moore reports from Beirut.
We have been receiving information about a strike here in Beirut in the Hezbollah stronghold. Local media showing video of really a chaotic scene there. Heavy smoke coming from heavily damaged buildings, and there are also cars that are apparently on fire, according to the video that we've seen. Initial reports indicate that the IDF did carry out a strike here in Beirut.
A new report from the Federal Trade Commission accuses popular social media platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube of vast surveillance of their users, including kids and teens. The report claims the companies collect personal information from user activity across the internet, and that data can then be used for targeted advertising. In a statement, Google, which owns YouTube, said it has the, quote, strictest privacy policies in the industry, doesn't sell people's personal information or show personalized ads based on sensitive information. We reached out to Meta, which declined comment. TikTok did not respond to requests for comment. Coming soon to a grocery store or pharmacy near you, a new measure of inconvenience, I should say. Jim Ryan says locked up merchandise, part of the price consumers are paying to protect against shoplifting.
Retailers lost over $100 billion to theft in 2022, so many are putting more merchandise behind plexiglass or steel mesh. Retail analyst Jen Fagan.
The customers aren't quite used to not having that freedom in store.
Adrienne Perkins knows what it's like to have to wait for a clerk to unlock an item.
This experience would definitely make me lean towards buying things online.
Amazon CEO Andy Jassy says more people are skipping physical stores in favor of online retailers like his.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.1106 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We're looking forward to seeing all of you guys on October 1st, Hop Springs in Murfreesboro, our vice presidential debate watch party. It's going to be awesome. The last watch party we had at Hop Springs was just fantastic with Trump versus Biden. I imagine that J.D. Vance is going to spank Tim Walz just as bad, if not worse, than Trump did to Biden. That's my personal opinion, and I think it's going to go down that way, and we want to watch it with you live at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro. Brian Wilson's going to do his whole show out there live. Myself, Mandis, Murphy, we're all going to be hanging out there as well. Mason's even coming. So, like, the whole squad.
I'll be there.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be fun.
So Kamala Harris yesterday during her interview, pre-scripted puff piece with Oprah Winfrey, she made the comment that, again, she's a gun owner, and she said, if anybody breaks into my house, they're getting shot.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
That was a cringy laughter.
But my staff will deal with that later.
Yeah, my staff will deal with that later. The staff that has 92% turnover, they'll deal with that, or they'll get fired or quit. That's usually the way things go. Everybody on the Super Text line has said, I wish a reporter would press her and ask what kind of firearm she owns. And I think that's like the greatest course of action, right? Make and model. Tell us more about the firearms that you own. We're curious. The American people are curious. I've seen multiple super texters saying just that. Somebody should ask her. Well, crazy as this may sound, CNN asked top Harris spokeswoman Adrienne Elrod, do you have any more information about this gun that Kamala Harris owns? It was Jim Acosta on CNN, of all people, that raised this question.
She said at one point, well, if somebody tries to break into my home, they're going to get shot. She made that comment, and then she said, well, my staff will go ahead and clean that up. You are on Kamala Harris's staff. Can you give us some more information? I'm just curious from a biographical background, what do we know about this firearm that she owns, and when did she get it?
Yeah, well, look, she has made it very clear that she staunchly supports the Second Amendment. She supports strong, responsible gun ownership, and she does own a firearm. So I don't know. I can't really comment more than that.
I can't really comment more than that. You can hear her squirming in her voice, and the video really shows it as well. She's like, my staff will clean that up. All right, you're her staff. Go ahead and clean it up.
She owns, and when did she get it?
Yeah, well, look, she has made it very clear that she staunchly supports the Second Amendment.
She staunchly supports the Second Amendment while calling for mandatory buybacks, while saying that she has every right to go into your home to make sure you're handling your firearm responsibly, while calling for bans on assault weapons. She staunchly supports the Second Amendment.
She supports strong, responsible gun ownership, and she does own a firearm. So I don't know. I can't really comment more than that.
Can't really comment more than that. I don't know. I think Adrienne Elrod hit us with a Mike Pence. I don't know. I don't know. It must be one of the most uncomfortable jobs being a spokesperson for Kamala Harris right now. Cleaning everything up. Can you explain that a little bit more? Best I can do is give you a roundabout answer and say I don't have any information. That's the best thing I can do. Also, today, Kamala Harris is going to be giving a speech on abortion. That's coming. Get ready for this. This is what they dabble in. They dabble in fear. They dabble in this kind of politics, and today is going to be that as well. Kamala's abortion speech is loading. She's going to be in Georgia today, and she's going to give this abortion speech blaming Donald Trump for 2 deaths in Georgia without any evidence. And I think you need to be aware of this, because this is going to be a major talking point for the left as we move forward. Donald Trump put in Supreme Court justices that overturned Roe v. Wade. You know the story. And when that happened, it sent the decision back to the states. Georgia, the state of Georgia, has banned abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. Okay? The New York Times reported that Harris intends to give a speech today based on claims by ProPublica, a liberal outlet, that this law caused the deaths of 2 women. This is how the New York Times reported it. Vice President Harris will give remarks in Atlanta focused on the stories of 2 Georgia mothers whose deaths, she argued, has shown the consequences of the strict abortion bans passed by Republicans after Roe v. Wade was overturned. The deaths reported this week by ProPublica occurred in the months after Georgia passed a law banning abortion at 6 weeks. Amber Thurman died of sepsis resulting from an incomplete medication abortion after waiting 20 hours in a suburban Atlanta hospital for medical care. And a second woman, Candy Miller, died after declining to seek medical care for complications from abortion medication. In her remarks today, Kamala Harris is going to call for restoring federal abortion rights and cite these women's deaths as illustrating devastating impacts of what she calls Trump abortion bans, according to the person with knowledge of her remarks. Now, Trump is on record saying he doesn't support a federal abortion ban. He's advocated for getting it back to the states, and he hasn't been out there advocating for it to be banned at the state level, much to the chagrin of many Christians. And I understand where you're at. I'm very pro-life myself. I don't want to see this stuff at all. But with Trump, at least, we have to be willing to take our small victories as we move towards a larger goal, because this isn't going to happen overnight. But back to the cases with Harris, the two cases that she's going to highlight on the campaign trail that she's going to discuss today are both just crocs. And they're both from the same publication, ProPublica. Breitbart News' Catherine Hamilton noted Wednesday that they linked Amber Herman's death to the new law without any clear evidence for doing so. Thurman presented at the hospital after taking abortion pills and acquiring an infection due to the remnants of fetal tissue in her uterus. Doctors then delayed performing a procedure called dilation and curettage, D&C. ProPublica claimed that delay was caused by reluctance to risk running afoul of the new abortion law, but admitted in that same article that it is not clear from the records available whether that was the reason. They're going to say it was the reason, but they do admit in their own article they aren't sure that was the reason. Now, Breitbart's Catherine Hamilton points out correctly, every abortion restricted in the United States notably contains exceptions for extreme medical emergencies in the life of the mother. And courts have ruled that these laws do not require imminence or certainty before a doctor can act to save a patient's life. She added that ProPublica omitted key parts of the law which reveal that treating Thurman for sepsis after incomplete medication abortion was well covered by state law. In the second case, Candy Miller, that they're also going to bring up, she avoided doctors and navigated an abortion on her own. The liberal article from ProPublica admits this. She took abortion pills, but unlike Thurman, she did not do so under medical supervision. She also would have been allowed to have a D&C if she had properly been treated by doctors who were aware that she had a life-threatening complication. And an autopsy found a lethal combination of painkillers, including fentanyl. Weird. So she had fentanyl in her system, but they're going to link it to Trump abortion bans. Are you ready for these talking points? You need to be ready for these talking points, because as you go about your day, if you're encountered with this kind of stuff, you should be able to combat this. A state committee found that Miller's death was preventable, ProPublica says. But when the publication says that the committee blamed the Georgia abortion law, it cites anonymous members of the committee who give their own opinions, not the summary of the committee report, which ProPublica says it has obtained but has not released. Debate is going to continue about the effect of abortion restrictions on women's health. Abortion services have also been deadly in some cases, as in the case of Kermit Gosnell, who was convicted of murder in 2013 for his practices. But some argue that women will be at greater risk in these states because of these restrictions. And they're going to highlight these two cases, even though you can point to actual evidence and say, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. But don't let information get in the way of a good narrative. And we're going to see that narrative on display today with Kamala Harris in Atlanta. 100%. That's the narrative. That's what we're going to get. That's what we got last night from Kamala and Oprah. A lot of narrative, a lot of fluff. We didn't get any real information. We didn't learn anything new about Kamala Harris, and we're not going to. We're just not. We're going to get fluff. That's Kamala Harris for you. That's the left for you. This is what we're up against. This is absolutely what we're up against. So get ready. There's going to be a pro-abortion speech today in Georgia with Kamala Harris. The other thing that I just saw across the screen on CNN, do you see that they're celebrating Joe Biden holding a cabinet meeting, his first in a year?
That's wild.
It literally said on CNN, Joe Biden holds first cabinet meeting in over a year.
What?
How are you going a year without a cabinet meeting?
The wild thing is, I don't think he was the one hosting it.
It didn't look that way.
It definitely didn't look, because someone was in there that shouldn't be, in my opinion.
Sitting at the head of the table was not a member of the cabinet, as far as I know. Is that person a member of the cabinet?
I'm going to look into it again, but I don't think so.
Sitting at the head of the table of this cabinet meeting, the first cabinet meeting in over a year with Joe Biden, was none other than Dr. Jill. Dr. Jill was sitting at the head of the table. Joe Biden was stationed somewhere in the middle. It didn't look like he was in control of his own cabinet meeting. It actually looked like his wife was in control of the cabinet meeting. And his wife, mind you, is one of the most evil women in America. My wife would never put me through what his wife has put him through, ever. And I hope your wife would never put you through that, because what she's done is nothing short of elder abuse. And now she's running the cabinet meetings. Jill Biden is running the cabinet meetings.
Yeah, I don't see anything saying that she has been announced as a member of the cabinet. Nuts.
What are they doing?
Yeah, he just looked like he was there for a political photo shoot, essentially. He said a little intro, and then it cut to her immediately. She has a binder laid out in front of her with a bunch of notes and whatnot to talk on stuff.
You know what? You know what I would do if I was in that cabinet meeting after hearing Jill Biden talk? I would say to her,
"What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard."
Doesn't matter what you say. That's how I would respond.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Bingo. I feel like it's a long one. It's about 30 seconds. I think that could be one of our greatest hotkeys.
I love that one so much.
Billy Madison is a gem. That movie it just keeps on giving. But Jill Biden running a cabinet meeting. Nice. First one in a year. Wouldn't be a cabinet meeting without Dr. Jill, right? Does everybody realize that Joe Biden's not in control of the country? Do you understand that Joe Biden is not running the country? I think we all know Joe Biden's not running through the country. What Joe Biden seems to be doing to me is like a guy in your office where you got this idea that he's about to quit and he's just burning through his PTO. You know what I mean? We've all known that guy at the office. That's what Joe feels like to me right now, because in between his trips to the beach, we get Dr. Jill hosting the first cabinet meeting in over a year. He's like, you do it. It's not a good look.
I'm not feeling it.
No, not a fan. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Got a crash, I-40 westbound just past Elm Hill Pike overpass. Another one, I-65 southbound right before I-24 downtown. That is just north of downtown. It is blocking the right lane. Enhanced security for major presidential candidates advancing in Congress. All these stories and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Have you heard this story about the sheriff that killed a Kentucky judge? It's a wild story. I want you to listen to how the news is describing it, and then I'm going to tell you what reporters are saying about this.
Multiple sources are reporting that Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Steins has been arrested following that shooting at the courthouse. Sources also say Steins reportedly shot District Judge Kevin Mullins in his office at the courthouse. We know several area schools were placed on a lockdown while this was going on this afternoon, and we have a statement just in from the Kentucky Court of Justice saying it is in contact with law enforcement agencies, including Kentucky State Police. The statement goes on to say, quote, "Our deepest sympathies go out to all those impacted by this tragic event, and our thoughts and prayers are with the community during this challenging time," end quote. Here is a statement also just in from Governor Andy Beshear on social media about this shooting. It says, quote, "Sadly, I have been informed that a district judge in Letcher County was shot and killed in his chambers this afternoon. There is far too much violence in this world, and I pray there is a path to a better tomorrow."
That's a nice statement from Andy Beshear. So apparently a sheriff, an elected sheriff of Letcher County, Kentucky, walks into this judge's office, right? And there's an argument, right? And the sheriff shoots and kills the judge. Whoa. Even more crazy, the now deceased judge, Kevin Mullins, was close friends with Sheriff Steins, the man accused of shooting and killing this judge. But there seems to be a little bit of a backstory going on behind the scenes here that nobody really wants to talk about. I'll talk about it. Nick Sorter is he's a reporter, citizen journalist. He's done a lot of great work, and he has an exclusive report saying high-ranking government sources tell him the sheriff who shot and killed a Kentucky judge today, this is yesterday, did so because allegedly the judge was raping the sheriff's underage daughter. Whoa. That changes things a bit, does it not? Local media is reporting that the elected sheriff of Letcher County, Kentucky, Sheriff Steins, walked into the judge's chamber in the afternoon and shot the judge after exchanging words with him beforehand. The sheriff is now in custody on first-degree murder charges. These guys were friends. And I wonder what your take is on this. I do. If it's true that the judge raped the underage daughter of Sheriff Stein, as multiple members of the community believe this to be the case, that they've told this to citizen journalist Nick Sorter, a good journalist in my opinion, was he justified? Should the charges be dropped? There's a lot of voices on social media that are saying if that is the case, then the sheriff should walk free. And I wonder what you think about that. 615-737-9986. I want to take your comments on this case after we get back. I know we have a lot of people in the Kentucky area that listen to WTN. Maybe you have some knowledge that I don't have. But if the reports that Nick Sorter are putting out there are true, that this judge was killed because he was raping an underage daughter of the sheriff that shot him, does that change things for you? Or do you think that this guy should still be held accountable for murder? 615-737-9986. I'll take your calls on the other side after Ken Weaver's newscast, which starts right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And in our nation's capital, the House has approved a bill aimed at enhancing security for major presidential candidates.
The bipartisan measure passed the House unanimously.
The yeas are 405, the nays are 0.
The bill directs the Secret Service to apply the same standards when providing security for major candidates as the agency provides for the sitting president and vice president. The service says Donald Trump is currently receiving the highest level of protection, but an official notes the sitting president will always have a larger security package than a candidate due to the many military assets that accompany the commander-in-chief everywhere in the world.
As Stephen Portnoy reporting, the Mexican government is staying out of the way, not doing anything about a war between members of the Sinaloa drug cartel. Reports of as many as 40 dead within their home state, shutting down schools and businesses. One side accusing a son of former cartel leader El Chapo Guzman of kidnapping another cartel leader, Ismael Zambada, and handing him over to U.S. authorities. Here's Matt Gutman.
The Lopez Obrador administration, they have a policy basically to back off from organized crime, to not have large-scale confrontations. They actually had the top military commander in Sinaloa just a few days ago said that it, quote, does not depend on the military, but rather it depends on the narcos themselves to stop this violence. The government basically abdicating any responsibility to keep its citizenry safe.
Now it's going to leave it up to the drug dealers. The Sinaloa cartel, run by these two factions, are now fighting over lucrative drug routes. And there are some lucrative new flights coming to Nashville International Airport next year. News 2 says a letter from the Metropolitan Nashville Airport Authority states Nashville has been selected for a nonstop flight to Germany and is a finalist for a flight to Ireland. Officials estimate an added $60 million in economic activity for Nashville and Tennessee each year. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. It's 11:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and it is that time of the year. Before you know it, you're going to be cranking your heat up because it's going to be getting cold. I know. You're like, it's going to be 90 over the weekend. I know, but you're going to turn around and it's going to be cold before you know it. Well, get your system serviced the best way, the Busy Bee way, with my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You don't want to be turning on your heat and then finding out that there's a problem. You want to keep it in tip-top shape. Now, whether you need that annual maintenance or repair or replacement plumbing, heating, or air system, the guys that I recommend are Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And if you need to replace your system, you're not going to find a better value on replacement systems. They'll give you up to 12 months with no payment, no interest, for up to 12 months with approved credit. It pays in so many ways to work with Busy Bee and to sign up for the Beehive Club membership. That Beehive Club membership's only $99 and get so much value. 3 annual tune-ups, 1 for your heating, 1 for your cooling, 1 for your plumbing, 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, no overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive Beehive member promotions. For the month of September, too, when you buy 1 Beehive Club membership, you get 1 free for the grandparents in your life. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. You can find the video for this story that we're talking about on Twitter as well, at Chris Hand on air. It's a crazy story out of Kentucky, and I want to get your thoughts on it. So a high-ranking government source told a reporter by the name of Nick Sorter, he's been on the show before, Nick's done good work, that there was an incident in Kentucky, a sheriff shooting a judge. Now, Nick Sorter says that sources are telling him he did so because the judge was raping the underage daughter of the sheriff. This is how the news reported it.
Multiple sources are reporting that Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Steins has been arrested following that shooting at the courthouse. Sources also say Steins reportedly shot District Judge Kevin Mullins in his office at the courthouse. We know several area schools were placed on a lockdown while this was going on this afternoon. And we have a statement just in from the Kentucky Court of Justice saying it is in contact with law enforcement agencies, including Kentucky State Police. The statement goes on to say, quote, "Our deepest sympathies go out to all those impacted by this tragic event, and our thoughts and prayers are with the community during this challenging time," end quote. Here is a statement also just in from Governor Andy Beshear on social media about this shooting. It says, quote, "Sadly, I have been informed that a district judge in Letcher County was shot and killed in his chambers this afternoon. There is far too much violence in this world, and I pray there is a path to a better tomorrow."
So that's how the news is reporting it. Now, I want to point out that this is a judge that is a Democrat, was appointed by Governor Beshear. That's what Nick Sorter is reporting. He's also reporting that the judge was shot because the sheriff believed he was raping the underage daughter of the sheriff. So I wanted to know what you think about this. 615-737-9986. Mary in Nashville, you're up first. Was the sheriff justified if those accusations are correct?
Oh, Marie in Nashville?
Yes, yeah. Marie, sorry.
Yeah, love your show.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Chris. First, with, the governor's statement of, sadly, we're sad for this and everything, I 100% believe the sheriff. When first of all, in this country, we have the highest ranking people molesting and raping girls and boys, and they're getting away with it. There's thousands of them. You can name the priests that they would molest, all the altar boys. My dad was one of them growing up in New York. It happened everywhere. They would send the priests to Europe. They send them everywhere. They get rid of them, and they keep doing this. That I believe the sheriff 100%. There's no way that he would go in there with those emotions if he did not know that this was going on. And most of the time when children are molested or raped, they have no reason to lie. We have to get a hold of this country, of what these predators are doing to our children. And let me say one more thing. This judge had access. People are molested and raped when you let your children be accessed from people. That's why parents out there, please watch your children. It could be your neighbor that says, that you think is so nice, or the neighbor's, stepson, or the brother, the uncle. These people, when they have access and opportunity to your children, they molest them and rape them. And I 100% believe the sheriff. I'm not sure if I feel that murder was justification, but I hope that he gets maybe manslaughter or, something very less, because this is strictly out of emotions. And we have to do something to save our children in this country, because too many people, these men over and over, are having access to these children, and they're raping and molesting them every single day. And that's all I have to say.
Hey,
please protect your children, people. Don't let strangers get to them.
I appreciate your call, Marie. Thank you so much. I hear where you're coming from. It is reported from Nick Sorter that the judge, Kevin Mullins, was close friends with Sheriff Steins. Close friends. Again, this isn't the sheriff saying this. This is high-ranking government sources telling reporter Nick Sorter that the sheriff who shot and killed the Kentucky judge did so because the judge was raping the sheriff's underage daughter. Now, it doesn't say, was this statutory rape or was this forceful rape? That is not laid out in this report from Nick Sorter. Does that make a difference? I'll let you decide. Connie in Shelbyville, you're up next. What do you think about this?
I think that he should be exonerated. I commend him for doing that. It's a parent's responsibility to look after their child. And I agree with your previous caller. Too many people are raping our children, our grandchildren, and half of the time they just get a slap on the hand and they're turned loose to do it again. It's wrong. And we owe our children an obligation to see after them, to care for them, and to supply their needs. Now, I don't know what I would have done. I might have done exactly what that sheriff did, because none of us know when our children are being mistreated, abused, or whatever. We're going to stand for them, and our actions sometimes may not be the best. But doggone, we don't have to pay anybody for lawyers and other judges to turn them free, give them a slap on the back of the hand, and let them go to do it again. That's the thing of it.
Yeah, and he could have gone in there. He could have gone in there and handcuffed the guy if this is the case. Correct?
He could have, but you nor I know what we would have done in that situation.
You're right.
If we had just found out that our child was being abused, I'm not going to sit back and go to somebody and say, well, now, you shouldn't have done that and you know it, so don't do it again or I'll have to lock you up. Absolutely not. We're not going to do that.
I hear you, Connie, and I appreciate the call. So the story is that this sheriff walked into the judge's office, a bit of a conversation, argument ensued. The sheriff shoots the judge. The judge dies, Judge Kevin Mullins. Apparently these guys, Judge Kevin Mullins and Sheriff Steins, were close friends. Nick Sorter reporting that high-ranking government sources are telling him that the sheriff who shot and killed that Kentucky judge did so because the judge was raping the sheriff's underage daughter. Now, this has not been confirmed in any real media way. The local media is being very mum on what exactly the exchange was, how it exactly went down. But if this is true, how do you feel about it? Joshua in Dixon wants to talk about this. Josh, you're up next on Super Talk.
Hey, what's up? I'll try to keep it quick. First of all, we're dealing purely in hypotheticals. We don't know. However, at the end of the day, emotionally, I completely get it with the dad. I know so many people do. However, at the end of the day, we are a nation of laws. That being said, and the sheriff would probably admit the same thing, he is guilty of murder. However, when you start looking into the things and the details come out, as hopefully they will, this can all be taken into account in sentencing and things like that. I mean, justifiable homicide is still homicide.
Fair enough.
That's
hey,
it.
Appreciate the call. Brian, Thompson Street, you're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Brian?
Hey, Chris, I travel a lot in my job, and I listen to iHeartRadio so that I can. And I can tell you that you're my favorite radio host. You're very informed and entertaining, and I think that you have the potential to be the next Phil Valentine.
Wow, that is high praise.
It is high praise.
He was my favorite. I appreciate you listening as often as you do. Thank you.
I could see a little of him in you, and as you grow, you could turn into him. But
I'll just real quick. I don't think I could ever be as good as Phil. And I don't want. Listen. I think that Phil was on a next level, and I'm only trying to be me. But I appreciate it. What do you think about the sheriff?
It takes humility, and you got it. The sheriff, I think, is the definition of temporary insanity. If somebody was to do that to my daughter, You'd like to think that you wouldn't kill another person, but at the same time, you love your little girl, and if somebody's hurting them that way, you might temporarily lose your sense of reasoning and react. And I think that's what happened to this guy.
That very well could be the case, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I wouldn't go to those lengths for my daughter. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate your call, Brian. I appreciate that compliment, man. It means a lot to me. Russell in Sparta, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Yeah, I agree with the last couple of callers on we are a nation of laws here, and him being the sheriff being person who's supposed to uphold those laws, he can't just get away with murder. But on the other hand, with all those emotions, finding out about your daughter and all that, temporary insanity, yeah, man, he should have like the least punishment to the crime, is what I believe.
Appreciate the call. Jason in Goodlettsville, you're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Jason?
Hey, how's it going? First-time caller, long-time listener. I love your guys' show.
Appreciate it.
I live in Goodlettsville. I'm originally from Kentucky. So this really kind of hit home with me. I don't think that the sheriff shouldn't get off 100% scot-free. I mean, it's a slippery slope, especially when I'm talking from a moral Christian standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that anybody should be murdered, but, I have a daughter, a beautiful daughter. If something were to happen to my daughter, I would probably do the same thing. I don't know. And nobody does know until they're put in that position. The guy probably lost his mind, and I get it. I mean, I would definitely, be for the beatdown of a century. But at the same time, this was this guy's best friend, and all my friends, all my good friends know they would never do that to my daughter. So this judge just thinks he's high and mighty that he could get away with it. And, that's just, to me, if somebody's best friend, they should know better. The judge should not have gotten away with it. And as far as I'm concerned, he got what he deserved. I mean, we have to protect our children in this country at all costs.
Yep. But at the same time, I feel like the sheriff is going to have to face those consequences.
And he should face some, but I don't think that he should get off scot-free. But at the same, man, my scales are weighing both directions, really. I think that he should definitely get a reduced or lighter sentence or whatever his punishment should be. But like I said, nobody knows what they would do until they're in that situation. And I would lose my mind. I would not be able to sleep at night. I would be devastated.
Yep.
It's such an evil, horrible, horrific event for a child, for anybody to get raped, but a child, I mean, come on.
Yeah, me and you both. I wouldn't be able to sleep. I wouldn't know what to do with myself if that happened to one of my kids.
I think, and honestly, the guy was probably thinking, hey, my life's never going to be the same. And at least, he killed the guy. At least everybody knows that he will not be able to do that to another child.
And again, that's if this reporting is true. And I appreciate your call, Jason. I hear where you're at. This is all hypothetical right now. All we know for certain is that this sheriff walked in there, shot and killed this judge. Nick Sorter is reporting that the sheriff did so because the judge, Kevin Mullins, who was murdered, was raping the underage daughter of Sheriff Steins in Kentucky. We have time for one more caller. This woman wants to remain anonymous. You're next on Super Talk. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What are you thinking in this case?
Okay, so it's such a complicated thing. I will say that I'll try to be fast so I know you don't have much time. It's really split because the sheriff who was protecting his daughter, did he go in there to confront him with those consequences? Or, that's really crazy. But it's really hard for girls underage to go forth with their allegations because a lot of times they're not believed. Sometimes the allegations are true. I personally went to investigate. My daughter tried to attempt suicide because we found out that she was being sexually assaulted and raped by another student.
I'm sorry
we went to
that.
investigate. We found that the school system was aware of it. They brought in another counselor and said, look, we all know about this guy. They pulled out a folder about 3 inches thick saying these are all the girls, but nobody would come forward because of how he would approach it. He would get them to take photos. He would take photos with their phone and send it to them. And so in order for them to come forward, they had to admit that to a crime that they didn't commit. I mean, they did because they're underage. That's considered pornography of minors, you know. And so
sources are reporting that lecture.
Keep going. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. It limited what they felt like they could do because they didn't want to go to jail. They told me I had to get a lawyer, and that then I'd have to get my daughter to go down there and make a statement, and then she would have to turn herself in, and then they would then try to figure out what he did. So the sheriff, knowing the laws, he could have went in there saying, hey, I'll give you a chance if you'll just do this, and he might have said no, and then he was willing to sacrifice himself for his daughter. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but how hard it is for a girl to go through that and escape it, and I would do that for my daughter. I know that I would have to face the consequences. I do think he understands he probably has to take consequences. Now, I hope he doesn't get the death sentence. I hope that, you know, because he's also a sheriff and he's going to go into these prison systems, and then that's what he faces. It's horrific either way. It's dang if you do, dang if you don't. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But I think that if I had the chance to get away with it, I probably would have pursued a different way. But because I am a law-abiding citizen, all I could do was watch my daughter just get blamed, victim blamed, and we just do what our lawyer told us to do. And he never got caught, and I know he ended up getting caught with some other girls, and they were able to press charges, and he's in jail now. But it was hard. It's sad. I'm trying not to cry. I'm trying not to take up too much of your time, but it's a really horrible system.
I appreciate you sharing that story. My heart breaks for what you guys have had to go through. It really does. And I like the angle that you're coming from and just that personal experience. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah. I mean, and then that's the other scary part is the school system really couldn't do anything until he turned 18. Then they kicked him out of school, and then they banned him from all the school events. So they were on the lookout because they found him doing it at the games as well. But the school was limited on what they could do. They couldn't tell anybody what was happening because all the victims are underage.
That's crazy.
And so, yeah, and yeah, it's like watching a baby die. It's like you're just gonna let them die. It's a no-win situation.
Hey, I appreciate you calling in and sharing that with us. Thank you so much. I'm sure a lot more is going to come out about this story one way or the other, and we'll be following this for updates. As we head into the weekend, hug your babies, disconnect from all of the news cycle as best you can, and really spend time with your family. I know that's what I'm going to do. It's 11:54 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk?
Okay. TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like. You're going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass.
On the ground?
Leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.